Algeria has called for New York for reform of the United Nations counterterrorism mechanism, putting forward recommendations for its future. And U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff is to meet today in Miami with representatives from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey to discuss the next steps regarding the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, according to a U.S. official quoted by the media. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. Good afternoon. First in our news, the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, visited yesterday afternoon several stands at the Algerian Production Fair in its 33rd edition, which he inaugurated at the Pain Maritime Exhibition Hall here in Algiers. The details of this visit with our colleague Saad Bougazi.
At the start of his visit, the President of the Republic inaugurated the new exhibition pavilion called Pavillon Palestine, where he listened to detailed explanations about this new exhibition space presented by the Director General of the Algerian Society for Fairs and Exports, SAFEX, Karim Boukadoum, before listening to a presentation by the Minister of Internal Trade and National Market Regulation, Ms. Amel Abdellatif, on the distribution of the economic fabric, the performance of economic operators in the production of goods and services, and the participation of Algerian economic enterprises. The President of the Republic then visited the pavilion of the Ministry of National Defense, where he listened to detailed explanations on the latest developments in the military industry. He also visited the stand of the Khenchla Mechanical Engineering Establishment, which specializes in the manufacture of small arms. He also stopped at the stand of the Central Logistics Base of the 1st Military Region, where he was given detailed explanations about the battery production line and the latest technologies in the field of energy. At the stand of the Automotive Equipment Renovation Facility, the President of the Republic listened to explanations about code rooms, the production of which is undergoing significant development in line with the needs of Army units and with the aim of achieving self-sufficiency. The President of the Republic then visited the pharmaceutical industry stand, where he listened to explanations about the activities of the LDM Group, which specializes in the manufacture of medicines, as well as the new hormone treatment production plant. The President of the Republic also visited the stand of the National Biotechnology Research Center, CRBT, in Constantine, which is part of the Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research. He also visited the Gipley Group's stand, where he inquired about the new products and achievements of this leader in milk and dairy products. At the stand of the AgroDiv Agro-Industrial Group, the President of the Republic listened to explanations on the group's results and its new products. At the stand of the Tosyali Algerie Steel Group, the President of the Republic listened to explanations about the new projects launched by the group in Garage Bilet and Bishar, before visiting the stand of the Ceram Decor Group, which specializes in ceramics, employs more than 2,000 workers, and exports to more than 25 countries.
And on behalf of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, Prime Minister Seif Gharieb presided yesterday at the International Conference Center, Abdelatif Rahal, in Algiers, over the awarding ceremony of the prize of the President of the Republic for Arabic Language and Literature in its first edition, coinciding with the celebration of World Arabic Language Day. In the field of the development of the Arabic language, the first prize was awarded to researcher Sadiq Bitiuta for compiling a glossary of satellites. The second prize went to Lakhdar Far for his dictionary dedicated to the construction, public works, and hydraulic sector, while the third prize was awarded to Ali Kishrud for compiling a guide to spelling rules. The Minister of State, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Mr. Ahmed Attaf, held talks today at the Al Tahrir Palace in Cairo with his Egyptian counterpart, Mr. Badr Abdelati, as part of his official visit to Egypt to participate in the second ministerial session of the African-Russian Partnership Forum under the instructions of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune. During the meeting, the two ministers reviewed the outcomes of the 9th session of the Algerian-Egyptian Joint High Commission held in Cairo on November 26. They both praised the quality of these outcomes and emphasized the special attention given by the leaders of the two brotherly countries, President Abdelmajid Tebboune and his brother President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, to everything that contributes to strengthening relations of brotherhood, cooperation and partnership between Algeria and Egypt. Regarding regional and international developments, the meeting provided an opportunity to exchange views on a range of issues of mutual interest to the two brotherly countries, the statement added. This included the situation in the Gaza Strip in particular and the Palestinian cause in general, as well as the crises in Sudan and Libya and developments in the security and political situation in the Sahel-Saharan region. The Minister of State, Minister of Hydrocarbons and Mines, Mohamed Al-Qab, and the Minister of Petroleum, Mines and Geology of the Republic of Chad, and the Longini Alexei Naimbaye, have signed in Algiers a memorandum of discussions crowning the program of the Chadian minister's working visit to Algeria aimed at strengthening bilateral cooperation in the fields of hydrocarbons and mining, according to a statement from the ministry. Industry Minister Yahya Bashir has chaired a working meeting with Chad's Minister of Petroleum, Mines and Geology in the presence of the Minister of State, Minister of Hydrocarbons and Mines, Mohamed Al-Qab, and the Secretary of State for Mines, Karima Bakir Tafer, to discuss ways of strengthening bilateral cooperation, according to a statement from the ministry. The meeting was an opportunity to examine ways of enabling the Republic of Chad to benefit from Algerian expertise, notably in the field of the cement industry, which has become a model of success in the national industry, enabling the country to achieve self-sufficiency and develop significant export capacities. Algeria has called from New York for reform of the United Nations counterterrorism mechanism, putting forward recommendations for its future. During Wednesday's presentation to the Security Council of the Algerian Presidency's review of 3 subsidiary bodies of the Council, Algeria's permanent representative to the UN, Ammar Benjama, highlighted Algeria's major achievements in promoting the UN counterterrorism architecture while emphasizing the negative impact of the delays in appointing the chairpersons of the subsidiary bodies for 2025, which only took place on May 29. Let's listen to Mr. Benjama.
It was the chair appointment for 2025 who were only made on the 29th of May this year. Operational consequences were significant, undermining strategic planning and early engagement with member states, hindering implementation of resolutions mandates, difficult prioritization decision under severe time constraint, and also scheduling conflicts between subsidiary bodies meeting and Security Council activities.
In this context, Benjama indicated that Algeria made significant progress by ensuring equal access for all members of the Security Council, including elected members, to documents of subsidiary bodies and by introducing guidelines to combat the financing of terrorism by modern technologies.
The Algeria Guiding Principles on preventing terrorism financing through new technology, now representing a framework for addressing how terrorists exploit emerging financial technologies. These principles, I mean the Algeria Guiding Principles, are a testament to the committee collective efforts and consensus-driven cooperation.
Ambassador Benjama seized the opportunity to draw the Council's attention to a worrying imbalance. While Africa accounts for 59% of terrorism-related deaths worldwide, the continent remains underrepresented in the assessment visits of the Counterterrorism Committee and receives only a fraction of international counterterrorism resources.
Africa now accounts for 59% of global terrorism-related death. Yet, a troubling pattern persists. Assessment visits by the Secretariat and partner do not reflect at all the severity of terrorist threat in Africa. And we regret that the committee was unable to adopt the 2025 list of proposed visits. Algeria has advocated for prioritizing the most affected countries. I mean the Sahel region.
Mr. Benjama also stressed the importance of updating the sanctions list, which had become obsolete, and highlighted the Algerian presidency's updating of the guidance notes on the implementation of the sanctions regime following Resolution 2745 of 2024. U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff is to meet today in Miami the representatives from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey to discuss the next steps regarding the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, according to a U.S. official quoted by the media. Qatar and Egypt, which are acting as mediators and guarantors of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, ravaged by 2 years of Zionist aggression, recently called for the next phase of the American plan to be implemented. This plan provides for the gradual withdrawal of the Zionist army from all Palestinian territory, the establishment of a transitional authority, and the deployment of an international force. The ceasefire in Gaza, which came into effect on October 10, has been violated several times by the Zionist army, while the humanitarian situation in the territory remains critical. This came as 4 Palestinians, including a woman, were killed in a shelling by the Zionist occupation forces on the city of Khan Yunis, south of the Gaza Strip. And the deputy spokesperson for the UN Secretary General Farhan Haq has announced some 55,000 Palestinian families have been affected by recent rains which have damaged or destroyed shelters and properties in various parts of the Gaza Strip. He noted that the storms and rains had also damaged dozens of child-friendly spaces in Gaza, disrupting child protection activities and affecting approximately 30,000 children throughout the enclave. Shifting now to Africa now, where no fewer than 234 health workers have been killed by the Rapid Support Forces RSF in their attacks on Sudanese towns since April 2023, according to the Sudanese Doctors Network. In a statement released to the public, the network said it had also recorded 507 injuries and 59 disappearances among healthcare professionals during the same period. The same source added that 73 other health workers are still being detained by the RSF in the city of Nyala, capital of South Darfur State, in extremely precarious conditions. In response to this situation, the network called on the international community and humanitarian organizations to take immediate action to exert pressure to protect health workers and guarantee their safe access, describing these acts as a clear violation of international laws that ensure the protection of medical personnel in times of armed conflict. And in this Sahrawi issue, human rights organizations, political parties, trade unions, and civil society associations around the world have launched an urgent appeal for the completion and the decolonization process in Western Sahara, denouncing serious and systematic human rights violations in the occupied Sahrawi territories. The details again with our colleague Said Bougazi.
In a joint statement published on the website of the World Organization Against Torture, these organizations, in solidarity with the international campaign led by the Collective of Sahrawi Human Rights Defenders in Western Sahara, CODESA, call on the United Nations to exert pressure on Morocco to end the occupation, notably by adopting binding measures obliging Moroccan forces to respect international humanitarian law. To this end, they call on the United Nations to strengthen its role in protecting human rights in Western Sahara by establishing an independent office in charge of monitoring the human rights situation and submitting regular reports to the Security Council and the UN General Assembly. The signatories of the appeal recalled in this context that 50 years after Morocco's military occupation of Western Sahara, the Sahrawi people remain deprived of their inalienable right to self-determination in blatant violation of international humanitarian law and numerous UN resolutions Nations, as well as the opinions of the International Court of Justice, the European Court of Justice, and the African Court on Human Rights and People's Rights, not to mention the 2002 advisory opinion of the legal advisor to the UN Secretary General and the 2015 advisory opinion of the African Union.
That's the end of the news bulletin. Time now for our weekly programs. We'll leave you with that, and we'll meet you again tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin. Thank you and goodbye for now.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to our program, A Story in an Article.
بحار الغمق مدد رجال ونجوان شابات وشبان صبيات وصبيان بحار الغمق مدد رجال ونجوان شابات وشبان صبيات وصبيان.
Today's story is told in a very popular song, known not only in Algeria but also in other Arab countries. Though sad, it remains so expressive. The song Ya Bahr al-Ghamq, or Bahr al-Tufan, Arabic for flooded sea,